Hey, y'all. I can say y'all because we're in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Welcome back to the Tasting Room, episode 12. This is going to be a fantastic conversation. You can see the neck pour is gone in this pinhook bourbon. We are holding a much older bourbon in our hand, which we won't tell you about yet. You have to wait till the end.
But can we tell them how old it is?
Older than both of us. We'll just say that.
By a decade.
By a little bit.
Yeah.
By a little bit. Aaron Post is the guest today. He is the founder, owner, occasional DJ and bartender at Valkyrie and St. Vitus, and it was a lot of fun.
It was a super cool conversation.
It was. You doing all right, man?
I am doing all right. I'm a little buzzed now.
Why? Go ahead and tell people why. Why?
Well, we've had tequila, we've had 2 bourbons, we've had 2
but there's
beers.
a bigger reason.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm not drinking alcohol technically in February, but I am drinking alcohol on the podcast.
Totally. I'm sorry. You're welcome. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
And enjoy Aaron after the break.
Hey, I'm John. I'm one of the partners here at Grassfire Creative. We are a production company. We do animation, video production, live production, anything you need to creatively tell both your story and your business's story. Along with the content that we create, we also provide the strategy behind how to get it in front of the eyeballs that matter to you. We're located right in the middle of the United States in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so no matter where you are, we're just a short flight away. Bottom line is we are very excited to both meet you and tell your business's story. Please do reach out to us one of the ways below via email or phone number, and check out more about us at our website, grassfirecreative.com.
Well, welcome back to the Tasting Room, everyone. I'm Austin McElroy. How are you doing, John?
I know you're Austin McElroy.
Well, I'm telling everyone.
Everyone by now knows you're Austin McElroy. They might not know this is Aaron Post, but they should.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
I'm Aaron Post. Hi.
Hi.
You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
This day, but feeling great. Happy to be here.
How's the bar doing?
Pleasant. It's going really well. Staff is hungry, ambitious. We're having a good time over there.
Before we get started, I'm just going to give you a compliment because, well, a compliment and ask why you ruined me on something. Because now when I find myself I did it last night. I was at Doc's, and Adriana was bartending, and she asked what I wanted. And I was like, something strong, playful, and something. I did the words that you guys, I don't know if you came up with, but you were the first place in Tulsa to do it, where you can tell your wait staff or your mixologist or whatever, 3 words, right? That's what you leave it at, 3 words from a list of words, and then make you a cocktail that corresponds with those 3 words.
It's really awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's ruined me because now I find myself doing that, and the bartenders just stare at me like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
You want what?
And we actually forgot to say that you're from Valkyrie.
Oh, yeah.
I am.
Valkyrie, St. Vitus.
And St. Vitus, yeah.
Yeah. But that's a congratulations and how dare you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry. No, we were not. We didn't invent that or create that, but over the course of many years and figuring out what we were doing wrong, we wanted to establish this idea that, number one, that drinking craft cocktails was egalitarian. You didn't have to be an expert. You don't have to come in with a wealth of knowledge to have something put in front of you that you're going to love. Secondarily, it was an easier way to put in front of people the fact that we had a massive repertoire. I think it's close to 500 cocktails on the list right now, and you can't make
that's a lot
500 cocktail menu. Plus, no one wants to read a 500 cocktail menu,
and it's hard to memorize that in any recipes.
Yeah, so this just became the best way to do both of those things for the place, and it ended up being one of our pillars of what the place is. Yeah.
So before I open this and Austin asked the first question, to kind of set the stage, and I hope this wasn't going to be your first question.
No.
Walk us through up until you opened Valkyrie. Like, what was your background in the industry, or why did you get into it? All that kind of fun stuff.
Sure. Well, I went to college for photography.
Nice.
And decided that was not going to be the thing I starved for. I'll leave that to gluttons for punishment, like you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Gluttons for punishment is a joke because there are a hell of a lot easier ways to make money than opening a bar. By the way,
Oh, yeah.
I waited tables at a lot of different places. Found myself at Fleming's when they opened, and had some really great mentors over there. Gene Mozingo, Tim Baker's not there anymore, but a lot of really great people. I waited tables with Amelia.
wow.
House Amelia's, a handful of people. I know I'm forgetting a lot of them, but just decided at that point that this was going to be my career choice. I was going to stay in hospitality. I left there to go to do some more nightlife stuff, and that's when I realized that I had an acumen for managing and leading. And then it was very shortly thereafter that I decided that the trajectory was going to be owning and building a thing. So I did a stint in a lot of nightlife and managing a lot of employees. Started developing a concept based on the things that we couldn't get in Tulsa, because at this point in 2010, the only place that I know that was doing a cocktail program was Vintage 1740. John Paul over there was doing some cool drinks, but otherwise it was impossible to go get a Manhattan at a properly made Manhattan, even at like a place you would expect it to, like a steakhouse or something like that. Yeah. At the same time, I had been to cocktail bars around the States and decided the things that I didn't like were handlebar mustaches, secret entrances, arm garters, pretension, and slow service. So
Arm garters is funny. Yeah.
so
true.
So we aimed to not do that, to make it egalitarian, to make it easy, and had a ton of missteps along the way, but at the end of the day, I think that's where we got.
Yeah. That's awesome. Start us off.
Right on.
Open this, if I can.
Goodness, the questions of how all that began flooding my mind. This is going to be kind of a left field for me, but one of the things I'm impressed with Valkyrie and what I want to ask is,
I love that sound.
what have you learned most about leadership in that kind of setting after you've opened it and ran it for a while, and like what's been the hardest thing for you to learn in that role?
More of an acceptance thing, an acceptance of my own neuroses and and uncompromising mentality, which is it's easy when you're there 7 days a week and you can touch everything. It's a lot harder when you've got 40 employees and a big leadership team and can't feasibly touch anything. So for me, it's been figuring out the systems by which we scale and not lose our heart or our integrity, like the soul of the place. And then, how to relinquish those things and maintain all that high culture, high concept stuff. Because my worst nightmare is growing to a point where the concepts don't have any soul, aren't like really, really heartfelt and,
right.
High touch. So I think that's been the hardest thing for me is recognizing probably a little bit of mental illness that makes me good at what I do.
Right. Sure.
And then
we all have one.
I
Some way
think
or another.
entrepreneurs kind of always dive into that realm a little bit.
Yeah, and then just figuring out how to scale it.
You said something. How do you define soul in an idea or in a business or in a space? Like, what is that to you?
That's tough. I've had a handful of conversations lately with my wife and colleagues about like what a real dive bar is and how you can't fake a real dive bar. You can't set out to create, I'm going to make a really good dive bar, because it's not going to be, I think it's driven by passion, like by a want. Like it's not just a program like saying like we're going to make the best cocktails ever and we're going to have 700 whiskeys. It's about what drives the conversation, what drives your core values or your mantras, and figuring out how to instill that into everything you do. Because cocktails are good, but like that's not why people go to Valkyrie a few times a week. They're going because they want to hang out with Jared or Alex, who's going to show them a good time and put something delicious in front of their face. But like, it's not it's not about the cocktails.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that question for me came out of really I want to compliment you every single time that I've been in there. You know, your place was actually where I learned what a Negroni was.
Nice.
And
proper Negroni.
And well, yeah, and then having all sorts of other Negronis. I haven't drank a lot of spirits in the last 2 years because we couldn't go out.
Sure.
So I've lost all those names to memory. But every single time I go in there, I know I'm going to have something very excellent, and it's very impressive to see that hyper intensity of quality and focus and just acceptance when people walk through the door.
That's really nice to hear. I don't know how I'm going to deal with you guys complimenting me this much.
You're good. You're good.
Well, I mean, so before I move on, cheers.
Yeah,
Thanks
cheers.
for coming on. This
Thank
to
you for
me
having me.
is like a red hot on the nose.
Dude, it
Like,
is.
I get
it's
so
got a lot
much
of cinnamon.
Tons of cinnamon.
Yeah. Not so much on the palate, but
It's a little nutty on the palate.
now are you a Cicerone? Are you a Psalm? What are you? Any of those?
No.
No.
Much like the waning want or necessity to go back to school. It's like my resources are finite and they're usually not best.
Yeah.
In academia, like I have to, focusing on. I've always wanted to do my CSS, wanted to do all of these things, but realizing that I have to put a lot of my professional development into just that, professional development and growing as an entrepreneur and as a business leader, and I have to keep this as a hobby.
Yeah.
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 Every single time I've told Lisa, I'm like, I want to get my Cicerone. I want to go to level 3 or this, that, and the other. Then I come home after work, after sweating all day, and then I'm like, yeah, Netflix.
Yeah. Let me study right now. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. At some point in time, you got to shut it off. You
Yeah.
got to close your email and shut your computer down.
That's hard to do, man. I realized this during the snow days that I work more when I'm sitting at home than I do. Because right now, like, I come in and out of the studio. I'm driving. I have meetings. I have lunches. I have whatever. So I'm like doing all these different things. When I'm sitting at home with nowhere to go, I'm just on my computer.
Yeah.
And it's just work, and it's midnight. What the fuck am I doing?
Yep.
Like, put the computer away. I want to know, I'm curious. So I was very nervous when you did the interior redesign of Valkyrie because I loved the chalkboard and I felt like it was almost synonymous with that space. But now I go in and I can't imagine that sexy wall of booze not being there. So I'm curious, and you don't have to, maybe you don't have plans, or maybe this is just a hypothetical, like, whatever's in your mind, but what's the next iteration of Valkyrie? Where do you see it going from here? Maybe not physical, maybe something else, but where do you see it progressing to?
Sure. So Valkyrie was always supposed to be a prototype. I opened when I was 29. I knew it was going to go through a few iterations while we learned. It's not my intention for it to keep doing that inside those 4 walls. We did just we'll do little updates. Like we just did a cool update on the lighting and re-updated the bathrooms and a few small things. And we'll always do that just to make sure it's
the patio because
fresh
of COVID
and relevant.
and all that.
Yeah. We've got a patio now. But I think that how we got to where we went was just basically figuring out what the issues that we were up against and how to become the bar that we wanted to be, building that back bar gave us a chance to focus more intently on a particular thing and gave maybe more latitude for other concepts within this hospitality group that they were trying to build to specialize in other things, rather than just being it's a cocktail bar. Now it's high, fast-paced, friendly, egalitarian cocktail bar with 700 spirits, mostly whiskey. So we wanted to be that place where you say, like, there are a handful of places to have great cocktails in Tulsa, but we wanted to be the place, like, if you want to drink spirits seriously, this is where you have to go to do it. And admittedly, there are a few other places in town that are doing that as well.
Yeah,
Arches
but
and
I think-
Alberg's,
I think you're at or near, 1 or 1A. I think you're there.
If we're in the top 5, I'm happy.
Top 5. Come on. Yeah, you're there. It's interesting. I think you're right. I'm just excited, I guess is what it is, because I trust, and we'll get into Vitus here in a little bit, but I trust your vision for these things, and because you haven't let me wrong yet. So
I appreciate the faith.
Right. There's always the opportunity you might, but you haven't yet. So I'm excited, and I don't know. Does it excite you, or does it almost make you nervous to think of how it might change or whatever?
No, I'm really happy with it. Like I'm very excited. I think that it's my intention to get out of this kind of prototype mentality and more focus on building cool new things. I love this market to do specifically this. I always say that the culture leads the market in Tulsa rather than the other way around in a lot of markets. And I think there's room for a lot of growth and a lot more for people to be able to expect more. Things that really, really add to the conversation about food and drink in Tulsa. But the way I feel about Valkyrie right now is that it should be a stalwart, stand. Just we're hanging out. We're a pillar of the community, and at least of the drinking community.
Right.
Yeah, you are.
And we just need to be there and continue to keep doing what we're doing. That. For right now, shifting my focus to new projects.
Yeah. So let me follow up one time, and then you can ask another one.
You're fine.
When you talk about growth, at what point does the growth transition from within a city or within an area to outside of that?
That's a good question. That's something that I've battled a lot with, because it's. Say, for instance, let's talk about Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has a handful, very small handful of places to go that are cocktail centric, that are bars. It would be, I feel like, really pretty viable to just pick up Valkyrie and set it down in Oklahoma City and it would work. But if I'm honest, I don't care about Oklahoma City very much. It's not my home.
That's not
like
thing to say.
I love going there. My wife's family is from there. But if we're talking about what my focus is, it's and what really, really satisfies me, and I think my leadership team is nurturing the growth of the city that we love, and building upon that. So we've made a conscious decision to say we're going to focus on Tulsa, and not to say that we're going to say no to every opportunity that comes down the pipeline, but if it takes away from the energy that we're able to put into this market, we might say no, And I think there's room for a lot of cool things in town.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, take us where you want to go.
Yeah, so...
What do you think of this, by the way?
This is awesome.
Does the taste match the nose to you guys? Because to me, it's a little different. Because I get so much cinnamon on the nose, but not so much on the palate.
It's a little bit more... I would say cherry vanilla forward on the palate rather than the nose, but the nose complements the palate really, really well. It's very smooth too.
Yeah, I like the cherry cinnamon note.
Yeah. I don't know if I said when we started, it's Pinhook. I had to get it shipped to me from Wisconsin, a buddy of mine up there, Eric Kinzel, because we don't get it in Oklahoma yet, hopefully. But it's a vertical series, and it says on the back that they're following a group of barrels as they age over the course of 9 years. And so this is a 6-year aged bourbon.
I love those experiments, and so much fun. And when you taste those year to year.
That's the thing. I have to keep getting them now.
Yep.
to try.
Yeah, that's how they get you.
Yeah. You just bought it. And
my collection is just too big as is. But whatever. This podcast has made me a
forgive me. I've
bourbon-holic.
been cleaning out my warehouse all day today. So my nose is really itchy and dusty. So I'm going to try and make it as
without sneezing
apropos as possible.
Sure.
But anyways.
Pour us one as you talk.
Yeah. I'm going to start with our Winterbock.
Nice.
So not a lot of people in Tulsa or in Oklahoma, in fact, do Bock beers very often. So this is going to be... it's a German-style lager, dark in color. But the coolest thing when I was reading about this and deciding on what kind of beer this was going to be, so just to be quite transparent on a podcast and tell it to the world, we had leftover Oktoberfest that we had
I wondered if you were going to
with.
tell this story because you told me. Yeah.
We had leftover Oktoberfest because obviously all of the supply chain and this, that, and the other was so wonky about 4 months ago, and we didn't get malt in. We got a batch of Oktoberfest in the tank late. It fermented slower than was planned. We missed a shipment, had extra kegs on hand. So it was like a perfect storm of everything.
The comedy of errors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had this extra Oktoberfest to do something with, and I was doing some research and whatnot. Well, a Bock beer is basically an Oktoberfest with just a little bit of color to it and a little bit of roastiness to it. So we mixed this up.
I like that beer a lot.
And it is now our number 2 seller in the tap room.
Is it really?
It
Very
is. For a solid 45 days, it's been the number 2 seller in the tap room.
You could change the name, and it could probably continue to be your seller throughout the summer because it's not a heavy beer.
No, it's supposed to be.
But by the
really,
name
really
Winter
drinkable.
Bock,
Yeah.
in my mind, I think of like a
It's a great profile,
Yeah.
really great balance because it's easily quaffable, but it's rich, but it's not like opulent or heavy,
Yeah.
so it's really, really drinkable.
Yeah,
You used quaffable and opulent in the same sentence, dude.
I'm impressed. I love
Well
the word.
done.
I love.
Well done, Mr. Post.
Some people don't like the word quaffable. I am a big fan of that.
It kind of makes me want to laugh, but I like the word. Yeah.
I think like I adopted it whenever like beers just started getting way out of hand, you know, and everyone just wanted to drink way back, when everyone wanted to drink Hercules and
Oh yeah.
and I was like, I just want a quaffable beer.
It's all I want, man.
Yeah, and I'm in the same exact same boat. My second question. So we were talking about culture and community, and really diving into what Tulsa means to all of us. What for Valkyrie and Vitus, being 2 pillars of, I would say, the cocktail realm and service realm of Tulsa, what do you want? Like, what would be your dream for Tulsa to become? Because we're growing and we're kind of, I would say, coming into adolescence as a city of culture, not necessarily because we've been around for a long time.
Yeah. But the culture definitely has.
It's getting richer
changed
by
rapidly.
the minute, which is really, really cool to see. So what would be your, like, okay, this is what I want it to be.
Yeah.
And realistically, where do you see yourself folding into that?
Well, I mean, you kind of answered it for me, not by putting words in my mouth, but kind of agreeing with what I feel like is like it just needs to continue to do what it's doing, just more of it. If we get a few clicks higher on people coming in moving to Tulsa, and a few clicks higher on the the speed at which new concepts that add to the conversation are coming online, great. But I don't think it should be doing anything that's not already doing. It just needs to be doing more of the good stuff. Yeah, I would like to Tulsa to continue to grow very organically, for it to always be like that culture leading the market, which is something that I say a lot, but I think about it. There are a lot of markets where we can support this financially viably, so we should build it not based on any sort of passion or interest or what it means on a cultural standpoint. It's just it will make money, so we'll put it here. So I really want more. The places like Vintage, like Amelia's, like I'm drawing a blank, brain farting.
Orin.
Orin is what I was thinking. Yeah,
Boston Title and Abstract is fun.
all these places that are. I mean, they just wanted to build cool stuff. So like I want more of that. I mean, we all want Tulsa just to get a little bit bigger and for it to be a little bit more exciting and have a few more options. But I also think that like there's a finite speed at which it can do that organically.
Do you think that there's a line that Tulsa should get to?
I don't know.
What would that line be?
I asked that because, like, as a native Tulsan, you're not native Tulsan. Are you born and raised
here.
Tulsa?
Yeah, from here.
I consider myself a Tulsan now, but not a native Tulsan. Yeah.
But like, I like its smallness, but I also want it to be very popular. It's a really weird desire.
one of the metrics that I was thinking about and have heard quite a few times is like there's 40,000 jobs downtown. There's 4,000 people that live downtown. And the closer we get to 1-to-1 ratio on that, the more thriving and walkable and metropolitan we can have for that downtown, which really, really drives, I mean, for me anyway, you know, a lot of what I want to do is in or around downtown. So getting to that point is like, I feel like if we were going to put an objective number on it, like that would be a goal of mine, but it's a long road to that.
You travel a lot domestically and internationally, but so this is probably more a domestic question, but how have you seen the reputation that Tulsa has change? Because I know you do Tales of the Cocktail in New Orleans and you travel around R&D a lot. You know, that's a great part about owning a bar is you can drink and expense it to R&D. I mean, that's just what happens. But
the CPA always kind of squints his eyes.
Oh, for
like,
sure, for sure.
Really? They always say though, you still have to spend the money.
Yeah, right. But have you seen, and maybe it's not a how have you seen it, it's have you seen it change? You know, when you say, oh, I own a bar, I own Valkyrie in Tulsa.
I think rather than I think middle markets and small markets are getting a little bit more notoriety now. I think a decade ago there was nothing up for any like awards, like you mentioned the Spirited or Tales of the Cocktail, which hosts the Spirited Awards. Right. Nothing outside of that was either it was coastal or Chicago, and that was it. There was nothing in the middle of the country at all. And I remember listening to podcasts that were making their guesses on who was going to win these, and then a bar in Kansas City was mentioned, and they laughed audibly, just laughed because
Kansas City is blowing
it's dope.
Up.
I love Kansas
it's so
City.
dope. You have to go to the campground.
Campground.
Shout out to Chris Cecil. He's amazing.
All right.
Okay.
Shout out, Chris.
But now, in the last 5 years or so, there's a lot more notoriety around these middle market places. Tulsa, in particular, it's fun. The more I travel, the more I bump into people when they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm from Tulsa. We're like, "Oh, we had an amazing weekend there a few months ago." Which that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
And I think you can. I think you can have an amazing weekend here. I don't think very many people are putting this on their destination bucket list.
Right. My favorite thing is when people come to the brewery and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're from out of town. We've been here for an entire weekend. We were here for a concert," and we were like, "We would never have dreamed of coming to Tulsa," and we actually had a lot of fun.
It's like
and
the surprise, right? Yeah.
Thanks.
Wow, I don't ride horses here.
Yeah, we're not sitting on our front porch playing banjos.
No, we're not. Although sometimes that sounds like fun. It does. You mentioned the Spirited Award, so I'm going to need you to fill in the blanks of this story. I didn't do my proper R&D prior to this, but I remember it, and I'll always remember it. It was the gentleman that owns Anvil down in Houston. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Bobby Hugel.
Yep. So I believe it was him that won an award, and his acceptance speech was all about how you need to go to cities that you don't normally think of as being cocktail cities, and he specifically mentioned Tulsa, specifically mentioned Valkyrie, I believe.
Yep.
I wonder if I'm not going to credit him with the change towards looking towards middle to smaller markets, but it had to, like, what was your feeling when you saw, or I mean, you might have been there, I'm not sure, but when that happened, what was your reaction to that?
I mean, it's great. Like,
and for those who don't know, finish the story. I don't know if I told it right.
Sure.
But,
and that's the extent of my memory of it as well. Right. Yeah. It's great. We love notoriety. I kind of circle back to this idea of not wanting to expand beyond our capabilities or the city that we love. It's like, yeah, it's great to be written up in the New York Times or get an award, a national accreditation or something like that. But the people who are supporting the business are people like you guys that are in the bar a few times a month, that are our homies, our friends and family that are there all the time. And it's like, yeah, notoriety is great, but like at the end of the day, we're still talking about a local small business. And like we need to be, like, in my head, my feeling is that we need to be servicing our community and the culture of that community. So I love it. Like to kind of give affirmation to the work that we're doing and legitimize it, saying like, yeah, you could pick this thing up and plop it down in a big city and it would still be relevant is amazing.
Yeah.
That feels really good. But I don't need an award. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about them,
No, I know. And I know that it's a small business, and this is home, right? Like it's home base. It's important. But I mean, you said it, like, I think you could, like, I took a trip to New York just to go to speakeasies and just to go to bars. And, I've said it employees only and Death & Co. there in Denver. And I've done that. I've done the Chicago thing. I've been to Anvil. I've done all that. The cocktails I get downtown at Valkyrie there's no difference.
That's sweet.
Right. And so I just think it's a tip of the cap.
Yeah. I mean,
to what the program you've built. I mean, it's not all you hire the right people, you teach them. Real quick, before I ask my second question, I forgot what it was called. It was like a graduation party, maybe. Is that what you guys call them?
Yeah.
When your mixologists get to the point where, so walk me, I don't even really know what that is. So there's a training program, obviously. How long does it normally take? What do they have to do to get through it? And then the parties are cool.
Well, training program's in flux right now. We're getting ready to launch our 4th iteration of our training program.
Whoa.
But you asked the right time because it's at the forefront
There we
of
go.
my head right now. Yeah.
That's why they pay me the big bucks, Aaron.
Yep. So the way we structure it is...
I get paid for this. You don't. No, I'm kidding.
Wait, am I getting paid for this?
Sure. In bourbon and beer and all sorts of stuff.
A friendship?
Which I'll dive into this, but do you guys want me to bust out this?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Go ahead. And if you thought Aaron did not come prepared, you were wrong.
All right. So
what do we
do you
have?
want me to talk? Do you want me to
Yeah,
tell
absolutely.
you what this
Go
is?
ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. Don't get distracted from that answer.
Okay, so
But
we'll
yes.
talk training program first,
Yeah,
then we'll talk about
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can do that. So the way we've structured it right now is it's split into an 8-week portion and a 16-week portion. The first 8 weeks are just to focus on practical education, figuring out how to be a proficient server, bartender, barback, just executing the job. We classify these as apprentices, and you'll see them in the bar because they're wearing Valkyrie T-shirts rather than jackets. Yeah. And then when they graduate they're now proficient. They're now making some money. They're hanging out. They're taking great care of people. Then they start diving into the 16-week beverage education program, which is all encompassing. You name it. We talk about spirits, cocktails, cocktail foundations, building blocks, cocktail families. We go into a lot of history. We go into a lot of technical jargon and information. And then they drive themselves through that program. At the end of the program, they do a final test and an essay and graduate. At that point in time, they become jacketed bartenders. But the graduation of that is we usually do it on a Sunday where they've got 50 cocktails to make in a finite amount of time. Yeah. And we sell all those cocktails for $5 on a Sunday.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's
a
a lot
fun
of fun.
party.
It's high energy.
I've never gotten an invitation.
Look on social media. They'll put it up there. Yeah.
John.
I'll let you know next time.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So that upon graduation, they are awarded their jacket, their chef coat, and then assigned an expertise. And their expertise is usually based on their own personal interests and the needs of the bar. And then they become the resident expert of
Now that I didn't know that each person had an
that part,
expertise.
yeah. Well, that's part of the new program.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's what we're diving
That's
into
awesome.
now, yeah.
What would your expertise be if you had to pinpoint?
For me personally?
Yeah, personally.
Oof. I mean, probably bourbon.
Yeah.
I got to probably stick with what I know,
Sure.
right? Yeah.
All right, what'd you
There you
drink?
go.
What's this?
Okay, so this is Fuente Seca. This is the 2018. These are single site tequilas. The maker is Enrique Fonseca. He and his dad had some of the most sought after agave fields in Mexico. They had big contracts with, you name it, the biggest of the biggest. Some of those contracts fell through, and Enrique decided that he was going to open up his own distillery. He already had some of the best agave in the nation, and now he just had to figure out how to learn how to make tequila.
That's interesting.
So he studied in Scotland. He bought a distillery from Bacardi that had alembic stills in it, learned how to basically, like the way he explains it, is trying to learn how to make tequila like they make scotch. I think they're some of the coolest examples of agave spirits. I know mezcal is definitely having a moment right now. I'm actually getting ready to head to Jalisco next week.
Are you really?
So this is
eat all the mole and drink all the tequila, man.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So this is what I'm inspired by right now. Yeah. He also does. I brought obviously a Blanco, but he does some ultra aged tequilas as well, like into the teens, which for tequila is very old because at some point in time it's just barrel.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the distilling process for tequila comparatively to bourbon or whiskey? Or
I mean, it's not dissimilar.
Is it not?
No.
I don't know much about that process.
I mean,
they use barrels, obviously.
Yep.
Right.
It's more so about the process by which, usually for like artisanal tequilas and mezcals, they usually go through a wild fermentation period. The agave has to be processed by being cooked. So it can be cooked in the way of mezcal. It can be cooked in like an open stone pit, like fire-driven pit. This is made where the agaves are cooked in an autoclave. So, and then everything kind of in between too. So there's a little bit more processing. Fermentation is usually a little bit more natural than something like bourbon, where you've got all these proprietary yeast strains and very controlled settings. This is a little bit more wild. And as such, especially with these tequilas, they can differ a lot between batches. So last time he released his silver was 2013, and then he released in 2018. So if that tells you anything, yeah.
That's cool.
But really, really cool product. Feel free to.
First time to have tequila
Should
on the
I
show.
get water to rinse these out?
Are you okay with drinking after me? Because I have water right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
And you can just, you can pour it on the floor. I'll mop it up later. I'm the janitor here
You can
too.
just you can just stack mine right on top.
Okay.
I think I licked out that whiskey.
That smells amazing. So what is Kosheka?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah.
how he does his terminology. I don't know what that means specifically. I do know that these are single site. Single site
A little strong
tequilas.
there, sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you.
This is going to be very interesting. You can go ahead and lead us. Or did I ask a second question?
No.
Oh, I didn't, did I? Okay. I'll do that. So it's a little late to tell you this, but we normally do a 6-pack of questions where we ask 3 apiece, but
nice.
I forgot to do that. I want to know. Go ahead.
We've just been having fun.
Yeah, I know.
A little bunny trail.
I do love tequila. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm curious. So you gave us your background for Valkyrie and the beverage and service industry. I want to know your music background. So you can drop your alter ego if you want, so that people can follow you and find you there. But where did your love for music come from? When did it start? Has it always been there? Tell me your music background.
Okay. I don't know how. I'm going to. It's probably the whiskey that I've already had. But
That's really good.
yeah, that's pretty.
Holy cow.
It's the full spectrum. Sorry.
That's fucking amazing, dude.
It's vegetal. It's pineapple.
Yeah.
It's smoked fruit. It's butterscotchy. It's round. It's. Such
I'm
a
usually
cool
more of
product,
an anejo or something fan, but that is spectacular.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't even know what to say.
I know. That's
really awesome.
You're done already, aren't you? Or is there still some in there?
No,
Okay.
no, there's
I
still
thought he
some.
just shot it down.
Aren't you supposed to shoot tequila?
I don't know.
I'm kidding.
I look up going.
Or it's gone. Yeah.
I do have one more thing in my bag at some point.
All right.
just-
We'll get there.
cool.
We'll get there.
Okay.
But tell us, go music on me here. Come on.
Okay, so I started playing the accordion when I was 8 years old.
The accordion?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh. This is the first tequila we've ever had on the show and the first
Accordion master.
Accordion master. There we go. We'll go with that. Yeah.
Would not say master.
I played the recorder.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I mean,
Yeah.
from that point, I got into everything musical. I played piano. I did low brass. I did woodwinds. I did percussion all the way through middle school and high school. Towards the end of high school, I started producing electronic music, and that was really exciting and really fun for me. Coinciding with the time that I was at Fleming's, there was a time period where I was legitimately considering whether I needed to focus on hospitality and keep music as just a hobby, or if I should really focus on music and do hospitality to pay the bills.
So it was that big of a
wow.
passion for you,
Yeah, it really was.
or still is probably.
I still love it. I still need the outlet, for
Is that kind of how St. Vitus came around?
so St.
That's where I was leading into. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
St. Vitus, the idea for a nightclub predated the cocktail bar, to be honest.
No kidding.
It just was not the right time or the right
Yeah.
place, and I did not have the experience or know how.
You made the right call there, because if Vitus would have opened pre-Valkyrie,
would've been-
pre-downtown
it would've been
being the way it
different.
was when Vitus opened, I
Yeah.
don't know what
Yeah.
would have happened there. Yeah, you made the right call there.
So music for me is it's really, really important. It's it's always a massive part of my life. I try to stay up with what's going on. I try to stay focused on the genres and artists that I like. I get to DJ on a regular basis. Well, I say irregular basis, depending on what your consideration of
Sure,
regular is. About once a month at St. Vitus.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So that's how I kind of keep it fresh.
So funny thing, I have an accordion right here.
No, yeah.
I'm kidding.
there was every year for Valkyrie's anniversary, we do Valkyversary, which is a party, and at one point in time, the I don't know if you know Mark Kirkendall.
I know the
he's
name.
a
Yeah.
great guy in town. He does sound design. He is incredible artist. He and I took accordion lessons together from his grandmother.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. So we kind of grew up close to each other,
Yeah.
So one Valkyversary, we were all hanging out. It happened to be our yacht rock themed party.
I remember that one.
And here comes Mark just waltzing in the front door with an accordion and just straps it on me to expect me to play for the 100 people that are in the bar. I hadn't touched the thing in probably a year and a half at that point, so it was awful.
I've never met someone that plays the accordion. That's so cool.
That is really cool. On a sidebar, the going into St. Vitus for the first time, oh gosh, this would have been pre-COVID, and it was bumping. Had to wait in line for 30 minutes to get in, or whatever. You shouldn't apologize.
Did you have a bump shot? Speaking of bumping,
a bump shot? What do you mean?
so no, he did not have a bump shot.
Oh, no.
we have to change that.
Okay,
You didn't really go to St. Vitus.
It's
then.
the signature. It's like a what is it? It's double shot, cold brew.
Yeah, equal
right?
parts.
With what? I don't remember the other. You might not want to give the recipe
No,
out.
it's free and easy.
Okay.
Tequila, Chinar, and
What?
coffee concentrate.
No,
for the-
I think I had the Negroni on tap.
Oh, I love that.
That's
Negroni.
also
Yeah.
really good. There's so much I want to ask you about Vitus in a minute, but go ahead.
But when I went in there, so I've lived in Europe 3 different times. And when I stepped into Vitus, it was like I was stepping into a Prague nightclub. Was that was there any kind of influence there?
Absolutely. God, this is like this is a big can of worms, guys.
Come on. Let's open
meant
it.
I meant it to be an offshoot. That wasn't my official question. But,
No, you're good. Yeah.
Sure.
We
So-
can squirrel off as far as we want, so go ahead.
You have been to European dance clubs.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things about European dance clubs is they're not meant for just young people.
No.
They're not meat markets. They're not a lot of things that we tend to associate with dance clubs in the United States, like being like VIP areas, as
Bottle
meet and greets,
service,
bottle
and-
service. As if you're in a European dance club that's done well, you're there to dance,
Yeah.
and you're there for the music, and you're there to enjoy it.
And sometimes there's multiple floors of different genres of things.
yeah,
That's my favorite.
yeah,
Yeah.
No.
Oh I'm just having so many memories about East
Go
Berlin.
for it.
Like, not technically East Berlin, but what used to be East
Right,
Berlin.
right.
You know?
Yeah.
And, so the energy that drove Vitus was basically saying, like, it doesn't have to be for kids. It's focused on high quality production, that it's a safe place, that it's not just trying to cater to everyone and everything. It's basically a lot of times what we say is, like, if you come to Vitus and you decide you don't like it, that's okay. But if you come into Vitus and don't get a glimpse of what we're here to do, then we failed. So
Right.
we want to really make sure that we are being very open and transparent, forthright about like what we're here to do, and it is just to it's to dance and to enjoy the music and to lose yourself for a weekend if you want to, you know?
Yeah.
We've got to definitely have a ways to go because there's a ton of stigma associated with that kind of place.
Yeah.
And as an almost 40-year-old, it's like it's really hard to kind of prioritize that lifestyle on a regular basis too. So I get that, you know. But yeah, we were just trying to change the conversation, saying like it doesn't have to be a big black box
Right.
with a crappy sound system and terrible drinks. You know, it can be more.
How has fighting the stigma gone?
It's great. Well, so one of the nice things is that we dictated what programming would be before we ever opened, and then we opened and we realized we could be a lot more ambitious and a lot more forward thinking on the music that we're actually playing. That was great. But it's still a young people's party, you know, understandably, but it would be nice for people to, it'd be nice to get people to focus more on saying like, you know what, I had a long, hard week. I'm a professional and I'm going to go just turn myself inside out on the dance floor for 3 hours.
The interesting thing is like you go to South Africa or Berlin or, you know, somewhere in England, you go to those nightclubs and sometimes most of the crowd's 30 to 50 years old.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you're aiming at.
That's what we felt in Berlin, you know. It's like you go wait in line at like Tresor, and, you know, most of the people were my age or older wearing just head to toe black and trainers because they're not there to like...
They're not impressing anyone. They're there to dance.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm going to show up here at midnight, and I'm going to go home at 6 a.m., and I'm going to sleep all day tomorrow, and I'm going to rest on Sunday, and then I'm going to go back to work on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. Goodness.
I don't know. I kind of want to keep going on Vitus before you ask
My last question.
your third question.
Yeah.
So let me ask the cocktail program. How would you describe that at Vitus? Because it is so unique.
Yeah, I mean, they're all kegged.
I mean, but people hear that and they're like, I was actually standing next to someone where this happened. I don't remember if it was Sid or Dre. I don't remember who was behind the bar, but someone ordered a Negroni and she went to the tap to pull it. And he was like, hold on, a Negroni. And she was like, yeah. He was like, well, no, never mind. Like, I don't want it. And she was like, no, here's the deal. If you don't like it, I'll buy it from you and I'll hand make you a Negroni. And he tried it, and then I saw him come back for 2 or 3 more. And so it's you talk about stigmas. Maybe that's not a stigma, but it's an eye-opening experience for a lot of people to learn that a kegged cocktail can taste almost identical, if not better, than a shaken or stirred cocktail that you saw made right in front of you. So where did or do you want to go somewhere with that?
Remind me, because I'm going to bounce off of what you just said.
Sure.
With this beer.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm curious where the idea for a kegged cocktail program came from, and if it was yours when you first rolled that out, even within your own company, how much pushback did you get from a kegged cocktail? Like a kegged? Are you serious?
I don't know. I feel like most of the people on my team are feeling pretty exploratory. We didn't invent it, obviously. When we had done a handful of kegged cocktails at Valkyrie, that was just like featured cocktails. The idea was pretty basic. We knew we could match the caliber of the product if we dealt with the product in the right way. And it's a dance club.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, we need to be able to figure out how to get your drink out in 30 seconds because we want you on the dance floor rather than spending a whole lot of time.
The logistics of that, though, the PSIs are different. Some are nitro, some are
carbon dioxide.
I mean, how much trial and error was there in figuring that part of it out?
Honestly, none. This was hilarious. Okay, so first off, Tanner Scarborough is the GM of the...
Shout out, Tanner.
Tanner Scarborough, yeah. Is the GM of Vitus, soon to be Sydney.
Awesome.
Tanner will graduate to Director of Operations for the hospitality group.
Oh, that's really cool.
Wow.
Congrats, Tanner.
He did a ton of research leading up to the inception of the program. It was my job to create the menu. But when all was said and done, there was a lot of prep work. But he and myself and Tyler, who is the glue that holds the whole company together. I don't know if you know Tyler Schilling.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're standing at the end of the bar while we started to fill up, drinking cocktails, and going, I guess it works. So yeah, it was a lot of planning and a lot of preparation, but it worked. It was fine. We gleaned a lot of information from other businesses that had focused on keg cocktail programs. We also relied a lot on a book called Liquid Intelligence, which came out a few years ago. That is a lot about the science of cocktails and how to serve them.
So you want to know a little bit about why that can work pretty seamlessly?
Sure.
Just because CO2 almost literally cannot cling to the liquid at that proof. The CO2 will not stay in suspension. It won't cling to it. There's no protein involved.
Interesting. Okay.
So there's nothing for the CO2 to stay in suspension, so it's not going to come out carbonated. So you can just push it.
Gotcha.
Nitro would just be something to not like curdle milk with if you had a milk cocktail
a White
or
Russian
something,
or something like that. Yeah.
Because CO2's the carbonic acid's going to curdle that milk. So, but yeah, it's really easy.
That's interesting. All right, so where did you want to go with this? You have catching up to do on that,
sorry.
by the way. We've been asking too many questions. We haven't let you drink.
Hopefully, it wasn't bad.
No, I'm really, really enjoying it.
As I chug it, I'm really enjoying it.
That beer, to be quite honest, was made to be chugged or quaffed quickly.
Quaffed quickly.
Is that it's probably like a 5.5, 6%?
6%, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
spot on.
That's right where I like to be. That's great.
That is really good.
Something that sometimes I sway away from Bach style beers because they don't have that kind of fresh backbone to it. This is a really nice balance to it.
Yeah.
I might say of the Captain Boy beers you've brought, that might be my favorite.
That's awesome.
It might be because of what you said.
It was a secondary.
But I also love Oktoberfest beers.
Yeah.
And so if that's the base for any beer, I'm kind of in.
Yeah.
You're speaking directly to me,
Yeah.
to my heart.
So this beer is called Pineapple Whip. And the reason that I was kind of mentioning it earlier is because all of our Brewbaca series, which is, so we allow all of our taproom employees or anybody to make Brewbacas, and we encourage them. We try to schedule out at least one a month. And all of these beers that we're putting out as, completely new branded, new names, they're going to sometimes even come out at different alcohol content. They're going to be tasting completely different, but they're already finished, created, made beers that we have on hand. And then we mix it with other ingredients.
Okay.
And it's a really, really fun way.
It's fun.
It's a really, really fun way but the really, really fun way for the employees to have a lot of fun and create something that they're very proud of. And so this one was created.
That's really interesting. Yeah, it's fun.
This one.
You're laughing.
Well, I almost brought a pineapple daiquiri today.
Oh, did you really? Yeah. So yeah, this almost tastes like it.
Is there lactose? Is it like a milkshake type IPA or something?
Nope. This is a 9 gallons of pineapple, a little bit of vanilla extract and coconut extract.
Oh, okay.
In our anniversary golden.
Made a little pina colada.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, it started out as a 12% golden, and since we mixed in all of the pineapple juice, it went down to 9%.
Okay.
But this was made by Dustin Darker, our new operations manager, and
congratulations.
He is extremely talented in making things like this, and it's just super fun to see what people come up with.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that's really good. Man.
That's really great.
This is actually the first time I've had it because technically I'm supposed to be not drinking in February, but
I forgot.
I said that I would be drinking for the podcast.
I've been the reason twice now. Dinner the other night, you had wine.
Yeah.
It's
And
going
now
well
this.
so far?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, you're 80% there.
Yeah,
It's fine.
sure.
It's fine. It's fine.
All right, you're up. Where you want to go? Last question.
Oh,
no
goodness.
pressure. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a last question, but your last question.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Goodness, let me collect my thoughts after all of that. So, goodness, you might have to take.
You want me to take?
it? Yeah,
because I can.
I lost.
You
it.
think?
Go for it.
I'm curious of all. So you talked about like the graduation parties, and there's the repeal day parties, there's the birthday parties, there's all of the stuff at Valkyrie. What's your favorite Valkyrie party?
Probably the repeal day party.
Yeah.
You know, Valkyversary is always special. We always say that we have 2 parties a year, and you know, one's the nice fancy party, being repeal day party, and the Valkyversary is the no rules kind of sloppy party. But if I'm honest, they both get pretty sloppy.
They
by
do.
the end of the night.
They do. Yeah.
I love the dynamic of the repeal day party because everyone starts the night like super buttoned up, and we always do a lot of bubbles. We've got burlesque dancers, DJ. We have a ton of fun. Scott Phillips always MCs for us, and he just does an incredible job for that. But at the end of the night, it's just if you'll excuse the term, a shit show.
No, you're done. And just to further illustrate that, the one that sticks out in my mind is the biggest shit show, and it might happen every year. I'm not sure, but you ended up on top of the bar, pouring from the bottle into people's mouths, or maybe it was like through some sort of like a Viking.
Wait, you pouring Maltharitas? Maltharitas
Is that
a
what it
pretty
was?
popular thing. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember what. I mean, it's a little fuzzy. I couldn't remember what it was, but yeah. And I was like, okay, we've gotten to this point now. Like, this is where we are.
That's not even the worst. The worst is previous to St. Vitus opening, the winter before St. Vitus opened, we decided to use some of the gear that we had bought for St. Vitus, to use some of the DJ gear to use to test it out, make sure it was good. Also get to use just really nice gear for the party as a DJ. I was DJing with Darku Yarmola that night. Darku J, or
Shout
Hard
out.
Work.
Darku.
Yeah, nice.
And then decided to saber a magnum of Schramsberg.
Yes.
That's right.
Sabered it and shattered the bottle all over our brand new DJ equipment.
Oh no. Oh no.
Whoops.
Which I teased Darky for because he will never let me hear the end of that, and I've just like exacerbated that. So,
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It was a lot of fun, and it's a memory, and I've got to own up to it. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
Sabering's really fun.
yeah. Well, and
You got to
honestly,
use something blunt, not
that,
sharp.
That was the first time that I had shattered a bottle, like just completely shattered a bottle. I mean, I've missed the mark a few times, but I've never just exploded something.
I wonder where you hit on the bottle to shatter the entire thing.
So it's I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, it probably wasn't cold enough. It probably didn't hit it the right
Something
angle.
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Was that enough of a delay to get to your last question? You know where you're going?
So, bringing back the conversation to Tulsa, to the vibes of everything going on, and what Valkyrie has come to. What have you been the most proud of in what you've accomplished with both settings for Tulsa?
I just realized something though.
Yeah.
We're gonna pause. This is the last question, so we have one more thing to drink that you brought, right?
Oh,
Yeah, we
yeah.
did.
Let's pull that
Yeah,
out
we did.
first because I didn't want to get to the end and
Yeah.
be like, oh,
And
Goodbye.
I want that question to be a celebration of the conversation.
absolutely.
Okay.
Because
It's a
I've had
good question.
yeah.
I like that question.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. What is this? What do you have?
Oh,
boy,
okay.
dude, I feel honored right now.
Well, I feel honored that you guys
Wild Turkey
invited me
12.
here. Okay, so you guys familiar with
Tell
the
us the
concept
story,
of
yeah.
Dusties?
No.
Dusties are very old
Oh, okay. Yeah,
bottles of, generally we're referring to bourbon that existed before the bourbon craze. When the idea of bourbon itself wasn't thought of as a luxury product. So at the time, distillers could use a very, very small, very rare, very high-end proportion of the product they made to go into their highest-end product. That's no longer the case. Even with stuff like Van Winkle whiskeys, there's a gratuitous amount of product that goes into that, meaning that replicating how it was in the 90s and early 2000s is impossible at this point because the market's too great.
Right.
So this is Wild Turkey, which is some of my favorite Dusties. This is early 90s.
Wow.
This is the affectionate term for this is cheesy gold foil or CGF.
Look at that.
It's a 12-year expression.
That's gorgeous.
I thought it'd be fun to share just because it's like Old Turkey is probably my favorite bourbon. Like period across the board. If you always want to give me a really, really nice birthday gift.
There it is.
Like,
noted.
Like mid-90s.
Friend of the
mid-90s
podcast. Get him a
turkey.
birthday gift.
Yeah, I promise it's so cheap. So yeah, I brought it. I will say these bottles are notorious for cork breaking. I think I got all the cork out of here, but if there's cork, I apologize.
That looks amazing.
I'll let you go to town on that.
What year was this bottle?
I think this is a 91 or a 92. I'm not sure.
That's unreal. And you know it's old because it has Austin Nichols at the top, which just isn't the way they package it. So I believe the bourbon we had on Lisa's podcast was a Wild Turkey rare breed barrel pick from one of the whiskey groups I'm in.
Okay.
And so this is fitting that it's, Thank you for bringing this, by the way.
Yeah, this is a
Thank you for
super
having me. I'm
Yeah.
super honored and flattered that you guys would think of me for this, and
I won't pour too much.
it's
I'll
just
be
really
gentle.
nice. Oh, you guys can. I wouldn't have brought it if we couldn't share.
Well, I know, but like it's a dusty. You can't get this one again.
Whiskey's made to be drank.
That's right.
That's a very good point and question. There was a lot of liquid in that. Whoops. Sorry, guys. How do you? So, what's your bottle collection? And obviously, you don't store. I mean, you just said whiskey's made to be consumed, right? So, how many open bottles do you have? You drink through everything you have. Do you save things for special occasions, like personally at home?
I don't keep anything at home. We have wine.
Smart.
We have wine at home. And generally, I have a small selection of decanters. So, like, if you come to my house, I can make you a Negroni. I can make you a gin and tonic. I can do.
Yeah.
You can have a very short list of things. I might have some beer in the fridge. Most of everything at home is wine. I've got a enthusiast cellar at home. That's just the stuff that I get excited about. I keep all my whiskey in a back cabinet at Valkyrie.
Nice.
I've seen the cabinets back there. Yeah. I didn't know that was your personal.
Yeah. The back three, the first four cabinets are business stock, and I built the last three to kind of house my own personal collection.
I love that.
I often say that that's what saves my marriage. It's not true. Maggie's amazing.
Maggie's
she would
awesome.
tolerate
Shout
me
out
no matter
Maggie
what.
too. Yeah.
But I keep it there. I don't know. I haven't been purchasing a lot lately.
Okay.
So I've been kind of hanging out with the collection that I have. I kind of got burnt out on secondary market and just the hype. And
It's only gotten worse since you stopped buying.
Yeah. So I stopped. I'm now focusing a lot more on agave spirits and sugarcane spirits that I'm more excited about. They're not my favorite thing to drink, but I'm excited about them.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. The rule is always buy more than you drink,
There
so,
you
so I've taken the stance of, well, let me just try to drink less.
There you go.
For final times, cheers. Thank you for
Cheers.
bringing
Yeah,
this. I
cheers.
can't wait to try this.
Oh, you gave me a
Same with me.
non-drinking February pour.
Same with me. Yeah. I felt bad. I was like, this is like a 90s.
we can refill
Oh,
if you
we
run
can.
out. If you decide you
can.
like this, we can refill, yeah.
I've never smelled whiskey or bourbon smell like this.
Wild Turkey has such a unique nose and palate. Just like it's.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to call it that. Sorry.
Wow.
That's fun.
That's special.
It's very rich. It's a pretty opulent. Just kind of slap your mama.
So have you had that bottle for that long, or how did you come across that bottle?
No, I have a buddy who was selling a handful of things.
Man,
and
that is amazing.
We did a trade for this. I had a couple things that he was looking for, and the CGF. I got 2 expressions from him. They're different vintages. This is the 92, and I think I got the 91 from him as well. It's either 91 or 93. I know they're adjacent years. But yeah, I was a big fan of. They also have another 12-year that's called Split Label, and it has a split label. I love it. That's around the same kind of time frame, and I drank through all those. So I was like, the next step in is the CGF. So acquired a couple of those. Yeah, I just love them. I think they're so. I think
That is so good.
Turkey Dusties are my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Man, that's impressive.
That's so good.
That's very impressive.
What did they buy? Okay, 101. Yeah, it's turkey, of course.
Yeah. Does not taste like it though. It's
No.
like raisiny.
Yeah.
It's got a ton of like
Plum.
candy corn. Oh, plum's a nice note. I didn't think about that. I don't know. Like, it's rare for me to think about fresh fruit when I think about these whiskeys. Yeah.
All right, take us home. Re-ask your question.
Yeah. Please, sorry.
So going
I
back
totally
to
bombarded it, but I realized.
No.
I'm glad I did because we had this waiting.
I think I will go for just a tiny bit of a
please.
re-pour.
I did totally not pour you.
Yeah, you have to be gentle, John.
You do have to be gentle. There you go. Thanks for being gentle.
While I'm here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. That's very, very appropriate. So going back to the question, what has been? You guys have surmounted, what people dream of doing in a city, of becoming a pillar of a foundation of basically the drinking culture, which, especially in Oklahoma, that's a hard task to do because we're the buckle of the Bible Belt.
that's what I was about to say. We're the middle of the buckle.
And drinking has not necessarily been something that has been accepted, I would say, maybe more than 15 years-ish, kind of, sort of, in this city, and that goes upon my business as well. But what has been your most proud moment? What have you been most proud of within your 2 businesses, and describe why?
I think it's literally that you can put something down on paper that is a culmination of all of your passions and concepts and what you want to see, and for it to become a reality, and then people come in and they see the same value in it that you saw, or at least close to,
Like a validation.
yeah, the validation, and saying like, and I'm sure you can relate to this, and saying like, I have a passion project. This is what's important for me to build. And then when you have come people to the brewery and say like, I love this beer, you say that means I made something special for you. I think that with Valkyrie, when we opened, people didn't see value in spending $10 on a drink. Didn't see.
It was probably rare at that time.
Yeah.
Now you describe to people that are coming from Denver or Chicago, and you're like, oh, yeah, you can have
what
a
a deal.
handmade Negroni
Yeah.
from Valkyrie for $12, and they're like,
What?
say what?
So just the sheer fact of being able to do what I am the most passionate about, which is taking care of people in a way that presents like these very, very cool. We talk about programming, whether it's the experiential programming or the actual beverage program or the music program, and that they see value in that. And that doesn't happen passively, as I'm sure you're aware.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of have to talk people into it, and people buy in in different ways and at different speeds. But just being able to do that and being successful at it and saying like people see value in this has been really, really impactful for me, and is like energized me to say that we can go further. We can get more specialized. We can really, really introduce concepts that people haven't seen before, especially in the middle markets like Tulsa. And I feel like that's my most prideful thing, I guess. And additionally too, is the team that has bought in and sacrificed and like grown with me to say that, yeah, this idiot over here who thinks we can do all this stuff, like let's follow him. So I'm super like grateful and proud that the team has said that, yeah, this is something that we want to invest our time and energy towards and hopefully make a career out of. And that's really, really cool. I have a really, really, really incredible team that just never ceases to impress me and never ceases to like be faithful and I don't want to say like in like loyal without indiscretion, but it's like saying, yeah, this is something we give a shit about and we want to pursue this and we want to keep doing this. And that's really, really cool.
I'm curious, as we wrap up, last thing, you mentioned the cost of cocktails in other cities.
Yeah.
So this is like hits home personally because it's like in what we do, people don't understand it costs what it costs. And like they're used to, not to downgrade Tulsa or whatever, but they're used to like Tulsa prices.
Sure.
Right. Have you come across that at all with your line of business, with cocktails and with all that, where it's like, oh, if I was here, it could be $15 for, a Negroni or whatever versus $10 versus $12 or, and I'm just curious, have you come across that at all?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, we get the occasional review of like, don't go here unless you want to spend your whole paycheck on a drink,
right.
Which is fine because, like I said before, it's like, if it's not for you, that's okay. We didn't, like our job is to show you what we're about and say like, this is what we see value in and this is what we're going to provide for you. And if we do that and you decide you don't like it, that's okay. It's more so like if we didn't show you that thing, Yeah.
I meant more like, have you felt like you should charge more for your drinks? That's where I was going with it.
I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Because I can go to Lone Wolf and get a really, really badass like bowl or banh mi for $10. So why should I spend more than that for a cocktail? And that's just me personally. But I know what it costs. I know what we provide. I feel good about the prices that we charge. But my stance will always be, the old like Jack Daniel's motto, like goods worth the price charged. Like we charge what we're not trying to see what the market will tolerate. We're trying to charge the prices that are fair and will help us grow and sustain the business and make sure that our staff and leaders are taken care of.
But you're also charging a price for expertise.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's the thing, like there's a value add on ours. It's like, how do you charge for the expertise? How do you charge for the value that we're providing? Right?
That's the hardest thing to charge for.
Every time we talk about this entrepreneurial stuff, and I love it, but like, it is. It's the hardest part.
It's the hardest part because I know if I'm going to go to Valkyrie and order an old fashioned, I know that it will be the best old fashioned that I've had in months. And paying the extra $4 for it means something to me.
Sure. It makes it special.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's going to be excellent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that like I love dining out so much. It's like if for my wife and I, it's like the biggest focus, what we spend most of our pocket change on, like our resources on, are traveling and dining. That
as it should be to me. Yeah,
that experience is worth so much to me, and there's nothing better than getting up and out of a bar chair and walking out their door and saying that was badass. Like that felt so good, and the drinks were so good, and the service and hospitality were so good Like that's worth
Yeah.
an unreal amount of money to me. So it's hard to sympathize or empathize with people who don't see the same value, but we try to just make sure that it's always like really fair. You know?
I get it. Anything else to add? I think that's a good place to wrap.
Man, I think that's awesome to wrap. Hey,
This was special.
this is special.
Cheers, buddy.
And
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
I'm so flattered
Yeah.
and so honored. Like,
Yeah.
this is really, really nice. It's fun to sit in this room and hang out with you guys and have some really incredible
Yeah.
beers.
As we said, it's a
and
break. When can
spirits.
people hear you DJ next?
Oh,
When's your next set?
26th of February.
There it is.
Right on.
Yeah, me and Jake Rice, and I apologize, Jake Rice. I don't know what your alias is.
Alias. What is your alias so people know?
My alias is George Turbo. Yeah.
Well, George, thank you so much for
Thanks
for
so
coming
much,
on the
guys.
show.
Mr. Turbo.
Oh, I love that. Cheers. We'll be right back after the break. And that was Aaron Poston. Now you know why Austin is buzzed.
Yeah. It was a really fun time.
Oh, it was. That was fantastic. Aaron, like if you can't tell, what did he use? He used quaffable and now I forgot the word.
Oh, goodness.
He's just such a smart guy. Like he's a
Yeah.
smart guy. He's a brilliant businessman. If you're watching
his culture within his business
Yeah.
is amazing.
That's what I was going to say. If you're watching or listening to this and you haven't been to Valkyrie,
Get out there and
I mean,
try
what
it.
are you doing? Why are you watching this or listening to this?
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about tasting room and you're talking about culture, you're talking about pushing.
Can I say the pinnacle of
Yeah, I mean,
of cocktails
look,
in
we've
Tulsa?
had Noah on, and Hodges Bend does a really
Yeah.
good job with cocktails
They
as
do.
well. But between the two of them, like, I mean, it's
They're matched.
big city level, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
it really is.
Both of them.
Yeah. And if you haven't been to Vitus,
Go and have a
get
good
it.
time.
I get it. But listen to the conversation. I think it's my second question when we really transfer,
Yeah.
kind of steer the conversation towards Vitus.
The cool
Just
thing
give it a try, right?
The cool thing is he's really cultivated a
Yeah.
richer environment around that nightclub culture.
So if you need to go back and listen to it or whatever, and again to drum up your confidence, it was around
Yeah.
the second question. So it's just a lot of fun. The cocktail program's great, all on draft. The staff there is fantastic, and it's just a fun time.
It is a fun
can't
time.
dance
And-
either, and it's a fun time.
And the quality of everything that you're going to get poured is outstanding.
Yeah, really, really good. So yeah, that wraps it up. Aaron Post, thank you for coming on. That was fantastic. We're not going to tell you who the next guest is or when we'll be back. So
Yeah.
it'll be soon though, and you'll enjoy it as always.
Right on.
Right? Cheers.
Oh,
man.
yeah. Cheers.
All right. Cheers, guys.